What's up, guys? We got something exciting going on coming up here in the next month, and it's a little thing called the Gambler 500. All right, so we have the Gambler 500 starting here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We're going to be going out into the desert in about a month from now, and we really want to participate. We like cleaning up. We like the desert. We like hanging out with people that like junk cars. So obviously, I'm not going to take the BMW, but instead of going out and buying one and doing it all, we do have the Baja. So that's what we're going to use. It definitely needs some updating and some fixing. It needs the new shocks. It needs the front brakes. Hopefully we can get those disc brakes on. And I want to build a front push bar bumper and finish boxing in the front nose of the Baja. It needs some work. So this is the next month is going to be focused on getting that Baja a little more desert ready. So we're going to get the Baja pulled into the garage. We're going to get that nose piece off. I'm going to start boxing it in. So today's going to be kind of a fabricating, measuring and cutting kind of day. So stay tuned because this next month is going to be packed full of prep and then a whole lot of fun in the desert. We're going to jump to that front. I'm going to get out some of the sheet metal and we're going to sort out this nose. All right, let's dig into this bug. We're going to have to get the nose off because we're going to be working right behind it and it's going to need some work. So we're definitely going to need to clean up the wiring. I had to pull some of it apart to fix some things and to wire some things, so that needs some help. I want to finish up our wiring harness for all the headlights, get some horns hooked up as well. But first, most important, getting that sheet metal done so we know where everything's going to be permanently, like attaching our wiring harness permanently to whatever needs getting all that cleaned up. So we could tell there's obviously a giant hole here, giant hole there, and then this whole piece just straight to the nose. So the first bit is going to be building a piece from this blue sheet metal up to our brace. And then coming in here, we're going to be filling in these holes. So basically, I'm just going to run a piece behind here. That way, too, we can bolt this to it. And then that way, that should more or less box it in. I don't know if this makes any sense, but in my head, I can visualize it. So I think the first thing we need to do is cut the big piece that's going to go right here and kind of just box off the rest. That way we at least have a storage compartment of some sort there. So nose is going to come off. Okay, now we can get a better picture on what we're dealing with. This is the Super Beetles. So you have struts in our brace, and I want to box this in just so it kind of helps with more rigidity. So I come off of this piece, go up, and if anyone's watched, there is a solid 2-inch solid stock all the way across here that is a kind of extra bracing. Basically, you need to come through and weld it off because I built it to drive it, and that's what we've been doing, and now it needs some serious attention. Also, I want to cap off these little holes since we know everything now works and it fits well. Now I want to go back through and finalize everything. So I'm going to grab some of the sheet metal, some more of this blue cabinet stuff because it works really well, and cut it for our piece right here. So this is what I have left. I'm going to cut some of this extra bit off. cardboard to cut up, build some things for this bug. Oh, so we got that. Move this. Kind of placed where I more or less a little lower than I want. That's fine. We just take our Sharpie, this fat Sharpie. So, just going to roughly just probably cut on the outside of that line. Right. Now we cut. Now I gotta cut through 2 pieces of cardboard. One time. Okay. Of course, the guy that cut this front end didn't know what he was doing at the time and didn't make everything symmetrical. So it's kind of a challenge to get it to fit snugly. All right, so we could see this is the outside of my template. This little piece, that's perfect. That's all I was thinking I'd have extra, so I could just weld nicely down here, weld across. This side looks super similar, but for some reason it doesn't. So it looks like actually I just have a little extra on here. Now looking at it from this angle looks easier. So I got to cut this down. We'll get it to fit. Actually, this is definitely a better angle to try and get it to fit. Oh, there we go. Oof. Okay, that's not too bad. We're definitely going to need to add some extra here. But that's what I wanted. So then I can just bead, and then I'm just going to cut this little excess off. Same with over here. We're going to have to add this little bit there. That lines up nicely, and then we have it all lined up there. So just a little there and there. That should do it. So transfer that to our metal and get that cut. Oh, man. It is that much shorter. So I'm thinking pound down this lip and we can get it to fit. Only if I would make straighter cuts, this would probably look better. We're going to do something like this where our cut isn't. Actually, that's about the width of this is pretty much what we want. You know, that line's not going to be straight. Take that. That's about it, because this extra bit up here, once we weld it, we can cut it nicely across there and make a nice straighter line. That'll work, I guess. Yeah. Well, it kind of worked. Oh yeah, I like using these so much more. You just get a nice clean cut line. Obviously you take some of your material with you, but these curve-esque cuts, these don't do so well. Definitely a good straight line cutter. See, this just doesn't want to curve, so we'll get the cutting wheel out for that right now. There's our first sheet. Let's test fit this. I wish I would have wrote which one was the front and the back side. If I remember right, we put, probably would have helped, huh? Okay, let's test fit it. All right, let me get this in there first. Nice. I almost did it. So it looks like I gotta trim up a little more on these corners. All right, now I can get it in there, so it's a little easier to work with. Well, shoot, it works. Ish. All right, so we got it all mocked up. So it is a little bigger here. So I'm going to come up in there, but that's fine because I'm going to put a plate over that. Same with this side. We're going to have to cut out a weird triangle shape, put it over that, but we could see the little notches in here. You can. Right there. Look at that. That was nicely. So we can weld this piece to there, and then we can run a weld all across here, maybe something up here, and then just cut off this extra sharp metal, and then we'll just weld that so it doesn't poke anyone, and then we're going to run a piece weld down here. So next is just, since we are reusing material because it's free, am I yelling because I have earmuffs on? Probably. Ugh. So if you have been watching, you kind of already know this is like a budget build. I have brand new sheet metal we could use, but this was free. This is good, like 18 gauge, pretty heavy duty, and I like because it's already painted, so it's not going to immediately rust. Where, I mean, we grind off paint oil. So time to get the flap attack out, clean off the painted areas, and then we're going to get in here and start tack welding it. There's a little tip for some people. I used to earmuffs. Those electric cars sound weird. All right. I used to always just use those fiberglass blankets, and they worked, but I had an issue one time where it started degrading. The fiberglass started to degrade, and I was wondering why I kept getting itchy and like what was going on, and I didn't want to breathe it in. And so I actually had a friend of mine suggest some cowhide. I'm not going to cut it down to fit because I need the whole piece, but this has been an awesome welding extra thing to my welding arsenal. I mean, I just went in and got some of the cheapest hide they had that was the thickest. So like $40. If you're getting into welding and you buy one of those blankets, they work for a while until they don't, and then you get fiberglass. It's bad. You don't want to breathe it. Just everything that goes with it. So this is awesome. It keeps the sparks down. Anyways, I can't say enough how much I like using this. Welder's on. Let's find us a ground and start welding. That's hot. All right, so this is the plan. I knew I was going to have this sticking out, so I'm thinking I'm going to cut and leave a little and then bend it over and then just weld it down. Same with this little piece, so we can fill in this hole. We're just going to cut, bend it, fill it, done. Woo. All right, let me show you. So here's what it looks like. We cut it and just kind of smashed it over there. There's the finished with it welded. Not the best because I tried to get off all the undercoating crap that's on here, and not all of it, so it kind of got weird right in here, but the rest was okay. So that's my goal. That's the end goal, is just like that for the other side. So I'm going to tack that in, get that one done, and now we're going to figure out our plates right up in here. Some triangles, and then some butt welding, I think, for that. And we'll finish up tacking all of this. Basically, it's getting everything welded and done on this front end, hopefully today. All right, so I just went ahead and got that side all pounded in and welded. I did a whole bunch more beads around here. And then I came in and cut off that extra on top. So this bit that was hanging over is now all level with it. And so now we can clean it up, and then I'm going to smack it closer to our support rail and weld up top here now. All right, let's throw some tacks on that. You're gonna have to just push down on this little bit. Yep, and then weld your pliers together. Yep, now they're welded together. There we go. So we've got it just tacked on here. I'm going to go ahead and start running some feeds to really lock it in. And then we'll keep going, and then those triangle pieces. So I'm going to work on this, come back to when I probably start those triangles or something comes different. So this is the corner that I want to fill, and it kind of has a curve to it, but for the most part, it's straight. And then start pounding it up. All right, so that's my basic shape, but I'm worried about this little up part right there. It's hard to kind of curves. See, it's not a perfect triangle. If you look at it like that, it looks like a triangle, but from here, it goes up and over. So this is, my goal is to cut this piece, weld here, and then bend it in, tack weld it up there. And I think, truthfully, it's going to be smarter. I'm going to pull these fenders off because I don't want to burn more fiberglass than I need to. All right, now this is definitely a better view of what we're working with. We can see that curve. So the goal, I think, is to cut this to fit in there, which we'll cut it down, of course, and then just probably weld it there because that's a straight edge. Weld it there, and then we're going to start pounding and forming that metal so it comes right over like that. Hi.
I was thinking we could go get Scout.
Yeah, what time is it?
4:20.
Nice.
So there's some.
Whew. What is going on, guys? It is the next day on this Baja, and I'm actually just cleaning up because all it was cutting little pieces, filling and finishing, and I'm pretty happy with it so far. So I'm going to show you real quick what we've done. And to start, I got those little, I want to call them frame horns, but they're not. This little piece here that I had saved to extend it because I'd cut it too short. So as you can see, I got it. So basically, we're going to mock up that nose piece eventually and then just cut it, maybe clean up the edge so it's not so sharp. But these used to be our holes. And like I said, I'd cut some triangles in prep for it. Well, come to find out, I think it's easier. So both sides are different because the way I cut it, I did not cut it symmetrically years ago. If you want to check that out, go way back to our first videos of me cutting this up, and definitely cut a little too much than I should have. I cut one triangle, got another triangle on there, and just kind of worked it in. That came out pretty good. The other side, also actually not too bad. But as you can see, it's a little different in terms of this. I had just a flat piece, kind of curved, and I bent it up to fit the shape. And I had cut all that out at one point. I don't remember why, my thought process. So I filled all this in. So now this is very well boxed in. And some of the welds aren't the prettiest. I was trying to get all the paint cleaned up that I could. There was just so much in here that it was kind of hard to clean up, but I got some of it up in here. All of this is going to get hidden anyways. And so I'm not that concerned. So there we go. I started finishing up. These are the good welds. Well, for me, at least they're decent. finished stitch welding all of that. Up in here's done on top. So if we open it up, the hood actually seems to open and close really nicely. So wherever I have it is set. I came down and just filled some of this so it's at least welded. None of it needs to be that, I mean, it does need to be strong, but I'm mostly going for sealed off. I probably will come in with some seam sealer and hit some of these welds in areas because I kind of just want it just sealed off. So I'll bring you guys back when we have more progress. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode on boxing in this front end of the Super Baja. It's definitely a lot more rigid and solid, a little bit more usable trunk space to store stuff. And it turned out okay. You know, we spent more time cutting and grinding, but we already starting to make the next episode coming out next week. And that's going to be a front and bumper for this. As you see, a little glimpse. That's as far as we got so far. Not going to show you more because you're going to have to stay tuned next week for our front bumper build. Going to wrap it up. So again, thanks for sticking around this long. Please don't forget, like, throw a comment, subscription, all of the above. And again, it was cool being here. See you in the next one.